Hi, I'm Amara. Hi, I'm Alex.
Hi, I'm Ashley.
And I'm Jimmy. Welcome to Jimmy Baker Reptiles. Alright, so welcome back to Jimmy Baker Reptiles. This week we will be going over how to set up your new ball python that you bring home. Even though we're doing just a 10-gallon and a 15-quart tub, this will cover the basis for pretty much any glass aquarium or tub that you have that you're going to be setting up. So first thing I do is I will set up the thermometer with the probe. And the probe I usually put on my right side in the tank on the very bottom. So right there, suctioned in. Now I'll put this on the side. Make sure that's in there good. Now next I'll put the heat mat. We just have an extra Zoom Ed laying around, so this will work perfect. Now with this, I like to put right underneath that probe I just put in there. Right there. This goes to the side. Now this is the thermostat. This, the probe, you want to make sure that it goes right underneath the probe that you put in there for your thermometer. Right here. You want to suction it right underneath, in between the tank and the heat mat. You want to make sure that's there because you don't want the tank to get overheated with it being on the inside, and with the probe being on the inside it'll get too hot and it won't heat up the way you should and want it to. Alright, you want to hold this as I plug it in. Okay, as you see, it's going to plug it. We go the numbers here, hit it, oh, set to 92. Alright, we'll let it heat up. And as it's doing that, put it right here. Alright, after you have the thermostat plugged in and the probe set up, you want to make sure you turn in or plug in your heat mat to your thermostat. Make sure it's plugged in, make sure the temperature is warming up. From there, we're actually, as it heats up slowly but surely, we will add the bedding. And for the bedding, I like to use 100% cypress mulch, and you can usually get that from Home Depot, Menards. Usually $6-7 a bag. It may be even cheaper, depends on the time of the year and what their supply is. I would usually add probably an inch or two, maybe a little more, depending on how much my snake likes to burrow. Some of them like to burrow, some of them don't. Got a nice load of it in there. Usually a couple handfuls. Now, what I like to do for my hot spot and the humidity for the ball pythons is I like to keep it around 86 to about 90 degrees for the hot spot. And you want to keep it that way so that they can properly digest their food and have just a sufficient amount of heat just to be able to counter-regulate their heat from when they go over the cold side to the hot side and back and forth. Now, I like to put the water bowl right in the middle to help with humidity, because it'll be right there in the middle and help release as it's heating up. And this I'll keep on the hot side, and this side I'll put on the cold side. And then from there, I like to put the water, of course, for the water bowl. This is with the ReptiSafe. I like to knock out the chlorine in the water. About half full. And then we usually come back with a little mister. Spray this stuff down. You can add foliage. You can add little logs and stuff. But you also want to make sure that you have a nice secure lid with locks on there. And there's also extra locks you can buy that will be at your pet store or Amazon, and you want to make sure these are really secure. And if you need to, add a weight, but also make sure that you cover at least half, if not 3/4 of your lid to hold in the humidity, because in glass tanks it's hard to keep in the humidity more than it is with a plastic tub. With the humidity on the glass and any tubs or tank, you want to make sure it stays in the 50 to 60 range on the normal everyday. but when they are in their shed, you want to keep it up to like maybe 75, 80, just in certain areas, and maybe bump it up over here to add some more moss on under the hides and everything, just to make sure you can bump up the humidity. It's okay to have that in there on an everyday basis as well. But that's how you set up a 10-gallon aquarium. Next, I'll have Amara show you how to set up a 15-quart tub. Alright, so this is a GHI leopard male we have available. Awesome little guy. He's been hanging around, eating rat pups, and ready to go to a new home. But right here, we'll show you he could fit perfectly in this 15-quart tub, and he'll be ready to go to your home anytime.
Now I'll be showing you how to set up a 15-quart tub. First thing you want to do is drill or cut holes in the top and the side. We're doing this for release of humidity and allow airflow. And then we're going to put a digital thermometer with probe right on the right side. Next thing we're going to need is a heat mat. Put that right underneath. And then we're going to need the cord for later. And then we'll have the thermostat right here. It's already plugged in. Now we'll just put the probe right underneath the other one. That way it gets the heat of the heat mat. Then we'll plug this in and we'll let it heat up while we get all set up. Next we'll need 100% cypress mulch.
How much are you putting in there?
Around 1 to 2 inches. It also depends on how much your sink burrows.
Looks good.
Yep. Next we'll need hides and water dishes.
Here's your water dish.
We'll put the water dish on the cold side because you usually want your sink to have nice cold water, especially on summer hot days. Then we'll put the hide on the hot side. And there you go. That's how you set up a 15-quart tub.
So this is a normal male we have as well available. He's just a little baby. He's only a couple months old, eating good. But now we're getting into the questions part, question and answers. I want to get over a lot of husbandry and care questions that I've received from a lot of people overall, and help anybody that I can out there with any questions they might have. So, go ahead.
How frequently should I hold my ball python?
I would say once, maybe twice a week. Never 24 hours before or 24 hours after feeding. You want to make sure they have time to process that they're going to be eating, and you want to make sure that they can process their food so that they're not going to regurgitate it at all.
How much maintenance does a ball python require?
Couple hours a week. If you just have just one as a pet, you'll be spot cleaning their poo and pee, of course, watering daily, checking their water, making sure they're not dumping it over, making sure that they're just have fresh water to drink like we would as humans. Feeding only once a week, and other than that, that's pretty much it. And then you can handle maybe 1 or 2 days a week for just an hour or so or less as they're babies. You don't want to overstress them by holding them for a couple hours a night.
Does a python bite hurt?
No, not too bad. They tend to just feel like a little quick dab, and that's it. Next thing you know, you'll have little needle pricks that look like blood popping up. Other than that, that's about it. Unless they really grab on, latch, and roll, which I haven't had happen yet. Thank God. But other than that, no, it's pretty painless. This is a nice little pastel yellow belly, possibly, most likely orange dream. male or is it female that is available?
Female.
This is a little female that we have available. Sorry, I wasn't sure, but we have two. They look very, very similar together that were clutch mates that are still available. The other one will be coming up shortly. But let's go on with your next question.
Can you cohabitate 2 or more ball pythons?
I don't think you should ever cohabitate any ball pythons or snakes in general. It tends to only lead into issues and problems. It might not lead to it right away, but eventually it will lead to either one not eating, one not, or eating the other one. You don't ever want that to happen. So no, I would never suggest cohabitation of any snake.
Do ball pythons require live food?
Some do require live food just because that's all they've been used to their entire lives. The ones that come from our house usually are eating, 99.99% of the time, are eating on frozen, thawed, or fresh killed. And we try to do that just to make sure that when they go to someone else's house or their future home, that they will be able to adjust well and that you as the buyer will be able to feed them and have that availability for the frozen thawed. So this is the actual brother of the one I was just showing you, the pastel orange extreme yellow belly. Got cool blushing on the back and everything. Got long, elongated alien heads towards the tail. Somewhat of train tracks, flash got pied markers. But anyways, next question.
How frequently do balls eat?
They eat about every 7 to 10 days, give or take, and some will even feed every 14 days. I tend to do every 7 to 10 days. Most of the time it's about 7 to 8 days, more or less. I don't want to do more, do less, unless it's a baby that needs to be fed more.
Will my ball python starve?
Yes, they will starve. Unfortunately, unless you can, or you know someone, or you can assist feed, it's a little difficult, a little tricky, because you don't want to hurt them as you're assisting them to feed, as it is exactly what it says. You're pretty much just forcing them to eat.
Do ball pythons prefer light or darkness?
They're nocturnal, so the most time during the day they're just in burrows and looking for a spot to sleep all day for the most part, and then look for their hot spot. And so yeah, I would say they prefer their light or their dark more than they do light.
What causes the dent in the eye of my ball python?
Dents in the eyes of ball python is usually caused by dehydration, which goes back to your humidity level and your water level that you have. You want to keep your humidity in your tank anywhere from 50 to 60%, and then higher when they're in their shed, of course. Just to make sure that their shed comes off in one piece. You don't want a million pieces, just because that's just more stress for them. Higher risk for scale rot if it stays on there too long, and then other health issues as well. Alright, next question.
What do ball pythons eat?
Ball pythons eat anything from mice, rats, African soft furs. Some will feed chicks, some will feed quail, some try quail eggs, I've heard. Never really been ambitious enough to try that. Fish, I've heard people try. I've never really heard of successful stories. I don't think really fish would be a thing that a ball python would eat out in the wild very often. I don't think they'd really want to sit by the water and try and catch one. So other than that, I would say their main staple for food would be rats, mice, and African soft furs. Alright, thank you guys for watching. That's all we have for this week. Next week or later this week, we'll be going over feeding from start to finish, how to defrost them, how to feed the little finicky ones, and everything in between.
Like,
Subscribe.
hit the notification bell.
And comment down below to let us know what you would like to see from Jimmy Baker Reptiles in the future. Have a good day.
Bye, guys.